Hey, Bobby Trades! I'm going to do a video about Travis Kelce's big play, or the play that should have been last night. And we're going to talk about why it was actually called back. We're going to talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, Tony Romo's little gaffe talking about how they were married. And we're going to talk about the death of Frank Wycheck and maybe what it had to do with some of those tornadoes we had in Tennessee in context of his play seemingly being replicated last night, his famous Music City Miracle. But first, I want to explain why I'm making this video, because none of the videos I've ever made, I click at the bottom of the YouTube thing that it's for children. This video, I actually am going to put that children can watch this. Children can watch this. So I'm really going to try to watch my language in this video, but I still want parents to make sure that they watch this video. So kids, if you're watching this video, please make sure you pause this. You have your parents watch this video first, and then, you can talk about this with them. Because it's really important to understand that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and a lot of these NFL teams and players, you're supposed to look up to them. And you think that you're watching competitive sports, a real, genuine competition, right? And that's what sports are supposed to be. The true test of human excellence on an equal playing field to really find out who's the best. Unfortunately, that's not what you're watching, and you need to know that. You need to know that whether you're listening to Taylor Swift's music, whether you're cheering for Travis Kelce, you need to know what you're watching is not really a true, genuine performance. It is you being programmed with an alphanumeric code. That's why it's really important for you to understand that. You're not actually watching a basketball game the way you and your friends play basketball. You're not actually watching, a group make music the way your play at your high school makes music, if that makes sense. So I personally believe when someone turns 18, that anyone over the age of 18 can join an evil cult, right? We have the freedom of religion. We have the freedom of religion in America. So yes, one day when you turn 18, you can go join an evil cult, right? You can sell your soul to Satan. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But you should know before, if someone is trying to indoctrinate you into an evil cult and program you with an alphanumeric code, you should be aware of that before it happens. You should know actively that that's what's happening. You shouldn't be told you're watching a football game and then find out 10 years later you were being programmed with an alphanumeric code. So this video is going to prove that's what's happening. For the older crowd, we're going to talk about some of these messages, right? Because a lot of people think the Illuminati, right? I'll probably get a note just for saying that. A lot of people think the New World Order or whoever, right? They meet in these secret places, right? They wear robes and they meet in secret places. That's only when they go to Epstein's Island. But where they actually meet are in the exact same communication channels we all have. The Illuminati is not some secret place. The New World Order, the shadow government, is not underground. It's in plain sight. It's right in front of you. And they communicate through these channels. So we're going to talk about what some of their messages are, okay? So let's talk a little bit about the Music City Miracle. If you don't know, extremely famous, the Music City Miracle. Frank Wycheck, at the very end of a game, he laterals it all the way across the field. And it's called the Music City Miracle because the game looked like it was over. The Titans looked like they were going to lose to the Buffalo Bills. But then Frank Wycheck, who died yesterday, the same day this play got replicated, he throws the ball all the way across the field. He throws it to Kevin Dyson, number 87, right? Travis Kelce, number 87, and Kevin Dyson scores, right? Touchdown, Music City Miracle, and I believe that's how the Titans end up going to the Super Bowl, right? The gateway to the West, the floodgates to the West, the gateway to the West where they play the Rams and they lose, right? Anyway, that was the Music City Miracle, kids. Real famous thing. I think it was even referenced in what was that movie Castaway. It was referenced in Castaway. He comes back from Castaway, and the first thing he learns is how the Titans made it to the Super Bowl with the Music City Miracle. Anyway, let's just read about this, because unfortunately, very coincidentally, the guy who threw that famous Music City Miracle touchdown pass, he died yesterday, when that exact same type of end of game play looked like it was about to happen, if for not, Kadarius Toney being offside. We'll see about that. Longtime Tennessee Titans tight end Frank Wycheck died in his home in Chattanooga, Tennessee on Sunday. He was 52. A family statement said he fell and he hit his head. Okay, so let's just pause there for a second. We're going to talk about Mike Williams falling and hitting his head. And spoiler alert, 3 weeks after Mike Williams got hit in the head with a steel beam before his team played the New York Jets on 9/11, and Aaron Rodgers, the anti-vaxxer, went down. Before that happened, Mike Williams died by getting hit in the head with a steel beam. Now, I'm sure everyone knows that most wide receivers and tight ends, like Frank Wycheck and Mike Williams, spend most of their lives worrying that they are going to get hit in the head by a linebacker, or they're going to get hit in the head by a strong safety, or even a defensive lineman. But no, these unfortunate souls, they got hit in the head very mysterious ways. So, for Mike Williams, he got hit in the head with a steel beam, and he's a big part of this ritual. Let's remember that Mike Williams, when he played for Buffalo, wore number 19. Kadarius, not Kadarius Toney, but the guy who would have scored the go-ahead touchdown was number 19, right? CV 19, the jabs. Travis Kelce is called Mr. Pfizer. Anyway, we later found out that the real cause of death, and this is officially a fact, is that Mike Williams actually might have had heart problems, right? He might have had heart problems, right? Jabs, Mr. Pfizer, throwing it to number 19. Mike Williams, number 19, might have actually died from heart problems, even though they said the real reason was he got hit in the head with a steel beam before Aaron Rodgers went down playing for the Jets on 9/11. Anyway, the former NFL player Frank Wycheck was instrumental in one of the most iconic plays in history. An 11-year NFL veteran, Wycheck signed with the then Houston Oilers in 1995. He spent the rest of his career with the Oilers as they moved to Tennessee in 1997 and became the Titans in 1999. He made 3 Pro Bowl, he made 3 Pro Bowl teams from 1998 to 2000 and led the team in catches in each of those seasons. So he wasn't some nobody. Frank was beloved by everybody. Former Titans wide receiver Derrick Mason said. After he retired, Frank was one of those guys, if you saw him at an event, it was just a good time. He was one of those guys that I wanted to see. There was something about Frank that drew you in. Beyond his demeanor in the locker room and off the field, Wycheck's name, right, so this is officially a fact, Wycheck's name will forever be part of NFL history with his role in one of the sport's most iconic moments, the Music City Miracle, right? Music City, Nashville, tornado. We're going to talk about how this guy and Mike Williams and the victims of the, Tennessee sacrifice that we saw, they might have been paid tribute to with this no call or this offsides penalty, right? There's a ritual. A former NFL tight end and Frank Wycheck has died at 52. The retired Tennessee Titans player died after reportedly falling and hitting his head at his home in Chattanooga, Tennessee on December 9. This is a random way to die, huh? A lot of people just fall and hit their heads after they, play in the NFL. Dwayne Haskins just got hit by a dump truck. Ryan Mallett. We'll talk about Ryan Mallett. Why don't we just talk about Ryan Mallett right now? You might have forgotten. Ryan Mallett, a big Razorbacks player. Ryan Mallett just happened to play for the Razorbacks. He had a very strange death. He drowned this year, kind of like how Matthew Perry drowned. And then the other guy, Alex Collins, right? He played for the Memphis Showboats He died 83 days before his former NFL teams played. That's a very common pattern these people use. Clark Haggins died 83 days before his NFL teams play. Alex Collins died 83 days before his NFL teams play. His current team equaled 83, the Memphis Showboats, and he died in a motorcycle crash. So while he played for the Memphis Showboats, he died in a motorcycle crash. That's a triple gematria match. Ryan Mallett, another Raven, very interesting death. He drowned. There's a lot more probably that goes into decoding his death. I just thought it was very interesting. He played for the Razorbacks. So just think about all those years. You thought you were watching Arkansas football in a genuine competition. And no, you weren't. You were watching Ryan Mallett be the quarterback for the Razorbacks. You were being programmed with an alphanumeric code. You weren't actually reading about the death of Alex Collins. Well, you actually were. He did actually die. He was actually sacrificed. But what you were also reading was how someone who played for the Memphis Showboats died in a motorcycle crash. Okay, and the reason you were reading that was to also encode you with an alphanumeric code. And that game you watched last night was no different. We're going to talk about that. I think we're going to need to talk about Mike Williams a little more. Just this iconic play. Look up here, right? I mean, this is the exact same play. Very famous. If you haven't seen it, this tight end, big old bulky dude just says, you know what? I don't play tight end anymore. I play quarterback. I'm throwing it, lateraling it across, perfect spiral. And you know what? I'll tell you what. I watched this Travis Kelce play. That was pretty cold. That was pretty cold. Anyway, Travis Kelce's one hell of an athlete. He can throw. Anyway, great throw by him. Great lateral. But look how identical they were. I mean, they're clearly, it's the exact same play. The Music City Miracle. This guy happened to die that day. Okay, so this is a Bills player, right? They're playing the Bills. Both of these times they're playing the Bills. Number 19 for the Bills was sacrificed. The guy who would have caught this touchdown was number 19, Mr. Pfizer, thrown it to 19. But we found out 19 for the Bills died. Maybe not because he was hit in the head, but because he had heart problems related to it afterwards. And they're saying that those heart problems were maybe because of Percocet, right? It's everything but the jab, apparently. And Travis Kelce throwing it to number 19 is just reminding us that people like Frank Wycheck and Mike Williams, and Matthew Perry, were told that they died for one reason. Then later we find out, maybe heart problems were involved. Someone for General Hospital, very similar right after Matthew Perry. Anyway, look at this. Okay, so this is really kind of sick. This is CNN. I was Googling this to make this video this morning, but look at this. So I Googled Mike Williams. Look, so he's number 19. He played for the Bucks and he played for the Bills. He got hit in the head. His name equals 55. The day that he got hit in the head was 55 days before the Bucks and the Bills played. But look at this right here. So isn't this crazy? This is CNN. Notice I'm looking up the Mike Williams story, and I'm getting this new information. They're talking about new information emerging. Now, I do believe that was what this article says. I'll go look into more about what they're saying. They're saying that they got new information about the death of Mike Williams. He had heart problems, and they're blaming it on Percocet now. But look at this. He is pointing, while you look at this, look at his picture. It's pointing. Look at it. Look, it's pointing to Frank Wycheck's death. Frank Wycheck was just paid tribute to in the Music City Miracle. And the real reason, just so you know, then we'll go through this in a second. The real reason that the offsides penalty was called was not because Kadarius Toney was offsides, right? His toe was offsides, right? Rex Ryan made a joke about that. But the real reason this ritual took place is because the spirit of Mike Williams being sacrificed was paid tribute to tonight. Number 19 prevented the Music City Miracle with his death. The ghost of Frank Wycheck, the ghost of Mike Williams, saved the Buffalo Bills, right? That's kind of how this is really being portrayed in your mind. This false equivalency that's being made. We need death, we need sacrifice for sports miracles, right? Real miracles like the Music City Miracle can't be genuine, right? So there's a very big reason Kadarius Toney is the individual who's taking away number 19's touchdown, because number 19 is paying is representing Mike Williams. All right, Travis Kelce, Mr. Pfizer, throws the ball to number 19. Okay, and it gets called back because of Kadarius Toney, who is a triple match with Mike Williams. So what did we find out about Mike Williams? Well, we found out that he actually had heart problems after he got hit in the head, right? And another person who we're also probably going to find out in the future, maybe there's more to the story than he just got hit in the head. Maybe we're going to find out he had heart problems. We're going to find out all this stuff. So there's a lot of programming going on in here. It's more than just that they're, without your consent, coding your children with a code that's based around ritual sacrifice. If that's not bad enough, that Mike Williams' ritual sacrifice is being paid tribute to with Kadarius Toney being offsides, or that Ryan Mallett, you were watching Ryan Mallett play for the Razorbacks all those years, but you were actually watching a numerical ritual be encoded into your head every Saturday, or you thought you were reading about the Memphis Showboats player who you really loved watching when he played for the Ravens, die in a motorcycle crash, and he's a triple match with motorcycle crash, okay? It's bad enough you think it's that, but there's a little more going on here, because what this is also doing, it's programming the parents to think it's okay that, yeah, your kids are going to have heart problems, right? Your kids are probably going to be like Mike Williams. Something's going to happen to them. They're going to, be in some kind of strenuous situation. It's absolutely no accident. And I think I included this too, but it's absolutely no accident that Bronny James, his debut for USC was also right around the time this ritual was taking place, right before this game happened. Bronny James, who also collapsed because of heart problems, right? So this is all kind of programming you to accept, yeah, your children, they're going to get, jabbed, and they're probably going to have heart problems, and, something's going to happen to them, like Mike Williams and, Kadarius Toney, right? But it's okay. But anyway, so we did get this new update on Mike Williams. According to records obtained by the Tampa Bay Times, the grandmother and mother of Williams' 8-year-old daughter reported to police that Williams had received unprescribed Percocet, a prescription painkiller, a week before his death, the same day he went into cardiac arrest, right? So now it's a completely different story. Apparently, he got hit in the head with a steel beam. Now they're just saying, someone gave him Percocet. Police could not provide a copy of the statement, and the investigation is still ongoing. Great. But the Times did determine the person who made this report was Tracy King, the grandmother to Williams' daughter. So anyway, they're changing the story up. Let's talk about another ritual. Let's talk about Taylor Swift, right? So Tony Romo called Taylor Swift Travis Kelce's wife. So a lot of NFL fans are going to remember that Jessica Simpson used to be in the stands for the Dallas Cowboys, and she was just like Taylor Swift. She looked just like this blonde pop star cheering for kind of the stud star player on the team, right? Travis Kelce and Tony Romo, right? So last night, Tony Romo was calling the game, and he makes a gaffe, right? A lot of people call this a gaffe. It wasn't a gaffe. Tony Romo is not just reminding you how scripted all this is, and that, Jessica Simpson and Taylor Swift are just basically an arranged marriage, essentially, or arranged whatever of what's going on in the stands, right? But it's not just reminding you, hey, Taylor Swift is gonna be married to Travis Kelce. It's kind of like how Jessica Simpson, was cheering for me. Well, there's a little more to the ritual, but first, let's just talk about when Tony Romo first started playing. When he first started announcing for CBS, one of the things he was really famous for doing was he could call the Patriots games, and he could call the Chiefs games. He could call a lot of these teams' games the Steelers. He'd watched their film so many times, he could call out their plays before they happened, right? And so he was really famous for he'd be in the booth, and he had an extremely high accuracy rate calling out plays before they happened, okay? So this is kind of an homage to that, because now he's telling you how he really knows the future before it happens, because it's scripted, right? So he didn't have a gaffe telling you that Taylor Swift is Travis Kelce's wife. He's saying that's the same way that he knows, kind of how these teams are going to run their plays. It's not because he's analytical. It's because he's literally reading the script. And he's not just reading the script. He's giving you a script and he's programming it. Because what did you think when Tony Romo said Taylor Swift is Travis Kelce's wife? Well, you probably heard that she'd be Taylor Kelce, which was actually something that was trending. And so if Taylor Kelce, was married, and then you were thinking about, wait a minute, didn't Tony Romo have Jessica Simpson, in the stands, kind of a very similar scene, this famous pop star, cheering for the stud? Well, her name would have been Jessica Romo, which is a triple match with Taylor Kelce. So we got Mike Williams, triple match with Aries Variant, triple match with Kadarius Toney, who's offsides in this ritual paying tribute to his death. We got Jessica Romo, triple match with Taylor Kelce. We got, and this is all being synced up with the Aries Variant, letting you know what really, kind of killed Mike Williams. Maybe it had something to do with that Mr. Pfizer throwing it to number 19. And so this whole ritual is letting you know, what's really controlling NFL game outcomes. It's not what you're seeing on the stands during the games. It's what you're not seeing in the fields during the game, if that makes sense. All the blood that's being shed in the name of these NFL games. It's really Mike Williams who prevented number 19 from scoring. And it's really Frank Wycheck who prevented Travis Kelce from mimicking, the Music City Miracle. And, the Baltimore Ravens, end up in the Super Bowl this year or next year. We know why. Anyway, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they got a little song called The Getaway Car. A little interesting. So Taylor Swift, she's a little bit of an occultist. Her fans actually know this. Her fans actually know all about gematria, and they know all about these numerical patterns. They were the ones who pointed out that Taylor Swift dropped 1989 Taylor's version on 8/9/23, which was 8 years and 9 months after 1989 came out, and in LA, which was the 19th city of her 8th tour, something like that. The Swifties, like I said, know the gematria better. But she's got this thing called the Getaway Car. I touch real quick on what also happened in the week. Very famous headline, the stupid headlines we talk about, that Alex Jones is getting his InfoWars Twitter account back, right? So why is he getting his X.com account back? Well, Alex Jones said that Sandy Hook was a hoax, right? He said Sandy Hook was a hoax. So Alex Jones got in a lot of trouble for saying that, right? So Sandy Hook was trending all kind of this week. Sandy Hook was trending because Alex Jones is coming back, and wouldn't you know, the anniversary of Sandy Hook is actually coming up. So Sandy, in the American lexicon, most people probably think of Sandy from SpongeBob. We'll talk about that. But Sandy also is a character in a very famous show called Grease, right? Grease, Sandy is the female protagonist, and the big conspiracy kind of about Grease is that Sandy actually drowned in the very opening scenes that summer. She drowns, and everything that we see, Sandy flying away in the getaway car is, Sandy entering the afterlife, so to speak. So they've got kind of this, theme going on where basically it's kind of hard to mince words, but what they're communicating to their elite buddies essentially is that the fact that this all happened at the time of the Tennessee tornadoes, right? There's these devastating tornadoes in Tennessee Saturday night, and then Taylor Swift's big association with Nashville, the Music City Miracle is prevented, right? The Music City Miracle, this guy was in, I believe he was in Chattanooga. All these people, very closely synced up with Tennessee. Taylor Swift, very associated with Tennessee. And the Music City Miracle, right, last night. What I think that they're telling us is that there's a few things going on. Taylor Swift is not just programming us in the elites for more weather control events like we saw in Tennessee, right? She's not just programming us for a weather control event like Hurricane Sandy, right? They're not bringing up, Sandy into the headlines because for no reason. I think that they're letting people know we're going to have more weather events like what happened in Tennessee on a bigger scale. And it's going to be, we need to be thinking about Sandy Hook, and not Sandy Hook, Hurricane Sandy in the power grid. And that's why Alex Jones is coming back. They're trying to remind us, Sandy. Well, Sandy in the getaway car is a very big theme. And it's a theme that Taylor Swift has, and it's also a theme that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have. So Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, after one of their games, they got in a getaway car. Taylor Swift has a song called The Getaway Car, and the ending of Grease with John Travolta and Sandy, they get in a getaway car and they're flying away. What are they doing right now? What's going on? What they're doing is they're telling their buddies it's not just gonna be dark winter. Everyone knows that they're gonna stage a power outage, right? They're gonna stage these weather warfare events this winter. They're called Operation Dark Winter. They're gonna have the dark winter exercises go live, essentially, right? They're gonna blame it on probably Russia or China or a cyber attack or something. But the elites are gonna turn off the Eastern power grid or the Texan power grid this winter, right? That's their plan, right? They're gonna turn off the power grid, and they're gonna do that probably while a giant weather event is happening that they're gonna create, right? I think it's gonna be something like if Hurricane Sandy was a blizzard, right? If Hurricane Sandy was a blizzard and the power grid went down. But they're also telling us a little more. There's a reason that, and with Travis Kelce, obviously, they're letting us know everyone who took the jabs, right, their immune systems are going to be wrecked, and we're going to start seeing the consequences of that play out with heart problems, with autoimmune disease. We're going to have another pandemic in 2024 that's going to seemingly be related to maybe something called disease X, but it looks like it's also going to be related to the autoimmune disease and the heart problems that the jabs are giving. That's why Mike Williams is kind of being attributed to. They're reminding us Frank Wycheck, died in this really weird way, the same night of these Tennessee tornadoes and that Music City miracle. But there's another guy who said something a little more specific, and it kind of makes you remember that Taylor Swift, her last name is an acronym for the financial system. The SWIFT financial system is the name for the global financial system, SWIFT. And Elon Musk said something, and this is something that kids don't listen to this part, because I don't know how to say it. Elon Musk said some very big potty words, so don't listen to this part. He said, grow food yourself, is what he told his buddies. That actually is what he told his buddies. Grow food yourself. You might have heard something different. What he was actually telling his buddies was grow food yourself. You need to prepare to have food in your house this winter that you can grow yourself, or you are going to starve because we're going to have dark winter. But he said it in a different way. What he really said was faux argo yourself. Faux argo yourself. Now, I haven't seen the show Argo. Apparently, if I had, I would understand. But what I think he's also saying is Fargo. Like Fargo is a town in North Dakota, and it's kind of like a rural environment that would be very cold this winter, and that's kind of what we need to be thinking we're going to be living like, right? Especially if you're in the Northeast. But I think he's also telling his buddies, look very closely at what's happening to Wells Fargo. Because if there are headlines that are very bad about Wells Fargo and contagion, we need to take them seriously. The virus, the spreading of the disease, the weakened autoimmune system. While yes, all of that stuff will probably come back, and we'll need iris scan, jab passports to vote and all that. What they could also be alluding for is financial contagion. And they're saying that if we hear about bank runs at Wells Fargo, we need to take them seriously.